Hey guys, hope you guys are doing well. It's been a little while since I put out a video and wanted to give you guys another update of just things that have been going on and it's definitely been it's been a journey this past season and just wanted to highlight some things that the Lord's been doing in this season. I feel like it hasn't been just in my life, but I've also seen it in the life of just like other believers and in the body of Christ. And one of the main things that he's been highlighting, at least early showing me, is what it looks like to just have his rest, like as far as career and just abiding in his rest and really how what that looks like just tangibly. I mean, nowadays it seems like so many times we're either striving, to to for careers or whatever it is, and there's nothing wrong with having goals and those things, but it's funny how so easily we can get into the trap of comparing ourselves to other people or yeah, it just instead of enjoying the process or the journey, it's like it's you always run into these spouts of like striving or maybe you feel like you're not doing enough or it becomes like more of like performance based and I like one of the last videos that I put out, I think I was sharing with you guys that I was kind of going through a little bit, not so much like a big career transition, but I just wasn't really sure like what was going to be happening kind of like this past fall into the new year as far as just different career things or different avenues that the Lord was going to be leading me into. And one of the things that I feel like the Lord really showed me in this past season was the whole theme of like when the Israelites when they were living in Egypt to when like the Lord brought them out in the wilderness. And I feel like many times just when we are trying to enter into that rest, where you're trusting for the Lord to provide and it's more of a daily bread type transition as opposed to like having it all figured out. And I feel like so many times that Egypt represents like the predictable life, but also it's the life that gets compromised as well. I know there can be different seasons where you have a little bit of like you need a foundation or a base or more structure, and there's nothing wrong with that. But many times I feel like if we're going to truly enter into his rest and that peace and also the provision side of it, I think that's a big thing with just trusting him as a good father. And I feel like that's such a big part of the theme of entering into the rest. It's this theme of letting go and not having to have everything figured out. And there was a point this past fall where I kind of felt like for about the last year, I feel like the Lord's kind of had me in my career where it's almost been similar to a like entrepreneurship or like more of a commission based job where it's not like month to month. It's not always exactly, like I don't know like from week to week exactly how that's going to play out. But I'm so grateful that like this past fall, I was almost kind of getting the urge to go back to Egypt, to find something a little bit more predictable. Um, but I also know there's compromise with that as well, right? Like sometimes we want to jump into a job that has security benefits, but then you give up. It's like almost like going to jail, if you will. Like you give up certain freedoms and like I said, there's nothing wrong with if you're if you're like taking a job to provide things like that, if that's where the Lord's leading you. But also I know that sometimes if we want the life that he has for us, we need to be willing to like walk out on the water and like truly trust him. And I think about, in scripture, it says that like be content with what you have, for the Lord will never abandon or, nor forsake you. And that whole theme of like he has us, and also that he loves us. And stepping into that, it can be scary, like no doubt. But looking back on like the past year, maybe like the almost like I would say even stretched back to a little bit like to 2 years, like the Lord's kind of kept me in the wilderness. And it's come to a point now where I trust the wilderness just as much as I trust like stability. And I've been able to see his faithfulness like time and time again. It's like every month you don't know exactly how things are coming through, and just abiding with him and resting with him. Um, he just always comes through and provides. And it's so life-giving, guys. Like it's been such a fun journey. And I guess like I said, I've seen other brothers and sisters just kind of walking in the season where I feel like the Lord's highlighting that whole idea of rest, right? And it's not, I'm not talking about kicking up and like going to sleep, but it's just like abiding and just being like attentive to like open doors that come your way. And then like as those doors open up, then being able to, walk into those opportunities. And it's just so much fun. I mean, it really is, it's a fun journey, and it's exciting. And I'm just so grateful. And I just wanted to share with, a little bit with you guys, just that if you're going through, like I want to share my thoughts on if you're going through something along the lines of career transition, which a lot of people are right now. With things with the economy, it's been a little crazy or whatnot, but like take heart, because it, if you're going through a tough time, don't look at it as just, everything falling apart. It's an invitation to come out on the water. And it is so much fun. Like I said, to be able to abide and just press in to that whole idea of like true Sabbath rest. And oh man, it's just so life-giving. I guess I'm just like excited because I'm so grateful that in this past season where I almost wanted to go back into like an Egypt scenario, that the Lord was, for one, I did put some different things out there. And I'm just so grateful that the Lord closed those doors, and that he kept me out on the water, and just to show his faithfulness, and also just to make this the experience of rest, that it is a real thing and tangible, right? But it takes you letting go and just letting the Lord lead, right? It's not it's not a posture of just sitting back and doing nothing, because sometimes like you'll share these things with people and just say, oh yeah, but like faith without works is dead, right? And you need to do things. And but the whole perspective on that is wrong, right? Like not the idea that you need to go do things, but many times people, when you share this, like the reality of rest and his provision and walking in this like the wilderness, so many times people, because they want to hold on to the control, or it's more performance based, they always want to jump in and feel like they have to do the striving, right? Like unless they do something, um, they're not going to see the Lord move. And it's really interesting because when you look at the kingdom, and like every kingdom truth that the Lord showed me, it's different than the world, right? Like the whole idea in the worldly sense, it's like you strive to attain, you strive to maintain, right? But then if you look at what happens like from more of like a kingdom base, it's like, abide in me, right? For apart from me, you can do nothing. And through that, like, you will produce fruit. It's like the Lord working through you. Same thing when it comes to careers and opportunities. I found that sometimes there's these moments where you kind of get like this pressure where you feel like you like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing this or that. Like I need to do more. And there's been so much fruit to actually shift that and go into more of a posture where you, I mean, you could just like sit down and have a cup of coffee, but abide, right? And talk with the Lord or just wait upon him. And there's been so many times where like when I've done that, I'll get a random phone call, like I'm just talking to him about it, but I'm resting and trusting him that like the provision is coming. Like you're never in lack. There's always more coming, right? Grace is always coming towards you. And like I said, there's been so many times where sometimes I'll just stop and just like abide and just calm down, and it's counterintuitive because in the world you'd have to do more, do this, do that, do this. But like I said, I can't tell you how many times when I needed clarity or just when asking the Lord to help me or for more provision or grace, whatever it is, like the minute that I sit down and rest with the Lord, always, like, there's been so many times, even to, like, the T where I've asked them, all of a sudden an email comes through or a phone call comes through, and even if it doesn't come through per se, like, in that exact moment, um, I can't tell you, I mean, time and time again, within at least, like, a week or 2, or even within the month, like he brings about the door, or at least a little bit of a nugget here or there on like direction to go. But um but yeah, but just being able to abide and then get the inspiration and the direction from a place of just rest, like the Lord doesn't need you to do more, right, in order to open doors, right? Abiding is more important, right? Spending time with him, right? Peace, joy, and righteousness, you know, that's like the kingdom, right? And oh gosh, it's so freeing and it's so good that just to know that like our good father has us, and that he's never going to leave or forsake us. And even if there's another point that I also just want to highlight that I've learned, even if things, you step into this journey, right? And you all of a sudden you see things start to like, you feel like things get worse within like the first month. Just trust closed doors, or like when things don't happen, because that's just as much as like where the Lord's taking you and where he's leading you. Those are in a sense like, those are actually like open doors, but just like in another direction. So it might not be at like what you want for that, like that exact time. And if the Lord's given you a word on something where maybe you're you're going in a direction where like he's giving you some inspiration, like maybe with a career or something like that, even if it like the road deviates a little, just trust it, because like he knows what's best. There's certain people that sometimes he needs to bring into your life, or maybe take out of your life. And I mean, there's so many dynamics to the journey, and he's just, he he has everything figured out, right? Before you were born, like he knew you, he knew the plans that he had for you. So he has good works like for you, to step into, but just trust him. And like I said, it may stretch you a little bit, but it also, like I said, through the journey, I can say that I've come to a place where I've literally been able to just like be okay with the uncertain, just as comfortable as like the so-called security of what we would sometimes call like job security, or just things like that. Just as far as like provision, right? Yeah, so man, it like I said, it blows my mind just how good the Lord is, and even my prayer for you guys is that you would be able to step into this, and if you are seeing this, take it as like an invitation. And the Lord's gonna, when you step out, just start small, but just rest with him, get the inspiration. So let me back it up, like kind of like the model that he's taught me, right? Whenever you feel like that pressure that you have to do more, to get this or that, like resist that and just stop yourself, calm down, take a seat, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, and literally just rest and talk with him. Talk with him about like everything that you're going through, right? And like I said, but and just wait upon him. And many times, like I said, you'll get some communication from an outside source that kind of confirms your direction. Or sometimes if he doesn't give you like direction in that moment, still trust, but just rest with him, right? Because what will happen eventually when you're resting with him and abiding with him, that's where the inspiration comes. Okay, it kind of reminds me. I'm a musician, so I play guitar, and I did some worship leading, but couple years ago. And even as a musician, I find that sometimes like the greatest ideas come from when you slow down and you're just quiet, right? I remember seeing a commercial one time. I think it was who was it? Oh my goodness, I can't think of the artist. You guys have to forgive me, but it's basically, I think it was like a furniture commercial, and the whole idea is he's sitting on the couch and he's like almost taking a moment just to enjoy the furniture. And then all of a sudden he gets this like inspiration, and then he gets up and starts playing the piano. And he basically, like, the whole theme is that by sitting down on the couch and just slowing down, then the inspiration came. And then he like moved forward. So like I said, rest isn't necessarily like pass passiveness or not doing anything. It's just in it's just coming back, abiding, getting the direction, getting the inspiration, and then you doing thing like through that, like the Lord moving through you and working with you. And then it's like a partnership. But to be like in sync, and you guys are gonna find that doing life this way, it is the abundant life, right? And you just, like I said, the hardest thing is just to get to a point where he'll bring you to the place where the wilderness becomes just as comfortable as like the predictability of Egypt, and I guess I just use like the idea of like a career there, where like you think that just like a steady paycheck would be more like secure than like a commission sales job, just as an example. So, but other than that, yeah, I feel like the Lord has definitely opened some doors as well. I was just thinking about like the update thing, where I was going to go, and as far as like the life update, the Lord has been faithful. He's opened up like multiple doors now, like with just help for me to be able to serve people, and there's just been more than enough provision. But even next month, like I said, that doesn't mean that we might not take another turn or go here or there. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that like the Lord's been faithful, and He's just continue to provide. So if you guys are, in a season where you're kind of going into unpredictability, like I said, just take it as an invitation. Don't think the bottom's dropping out. Your dad's got you. Jesus is there, and he knows what he's doing, right? And you can just trust him. You don't have to like have everything figured out all the time, I guess is what I'm saying. So yeah, guys. My goodness, like I said, a little bit of a life update there. I still I have seen your guys' I have seen some emails come through based on some of the past ministry videos, and, like I said, I'm trying to get back to everybody. I've been doing some, some career work as well. The Lord has me working in some other arenas, but yeah, I hope everybody's doing well, and, yeah, just stay steadfast, and I guess I just wanted to say one more thing. I've seen some different comments based on some of the videos that I put out in the past as far as like more of the deeper things, like when it comes to deliverance or just the things of the spirit. And not everybody is is going to understand the things of the kingdom, right? Like many times I won't respond back to certain comments because like when it comes to deliverance things or like some of the spirits of infirmity where people have conditions that are actually caused by like legal doors that are open. You have to be born again in order to get that revelation. And also keep in mind, like when it comes to deliverance, deliverance is the children's bread. So it's for the believer. So many times, like a lot of people that see the videos, if you're not a believer, it's going to be very hard for you for one to like understand the spiritual things, because like even when Jesus was with the initial disciples, he told them he would take them away and explain the parables. Jesus would always speak to parables in the crowd so they didn't understand, but then he would tell the disciples what everything meant, and he gave them revelation. But he said, blessed are you, he says to the disciples, because you you are, being able to be shown the secrets of the kingdom, right? So there are things that many people won't understand, but for those that do watch those videos, and like the Lord pushes on your heart and confirms, those things, there is truth to them, and there's a lot of different dynamics, like I said, I don't like to make formulas out of everything. Everybody's cases, in their life situations are a little bit different. So the Lord might approach it in a little bit different dynamics. And like I said, but there still are general themes though, like legal doors, that sometimes we leave open to give like the enemy or different things like ways to attack us or like interfere. So like I said, if you guys have any questions about that stuff, feel free to reach out at any time. And yeah, as things come up, I'll put out more. I never wanted to start this YouTube channel for like, for attention or for try to keep up with the algorithm, but I just wanted to do it to help. And as the Lord gives me inspiration and prompts me, I'm going to continue to put things out to be able to help you guys and uh and like I said, any revelation that comes along. But I think the big one that I've seen lately is kind of this restoration in the body for the season of like coming back to the rest and just seeing our good Father come in like with provision and just being able to give you peace and the abundant life that doesn't come with striving. And just remember, like the things that you need to strive to attain, like you need to strive to maintain, where like the things that the Lord brings to you in grace, like he upholds those things, so you don't have to like always strive to maintain, right, a career status. Like the things that he brings to you, it's so easy, like it flows because he's bringing them to you, so he sustains those things, right? So I hope this was a blessing for you guys, a little bit on the longer side, but like I said, I haven't done a video in a while, and I just wanted to give you guys an update. But I hope everybody's doing well, and yeah, please feel free to reach out to me, and if you guys have any questions or need prayer for anything. But I love you guys, I hope everybody's doing well, and yeah, till next time. We'll talk soon, but be blessed and love you guys. Bye bye.